Hi, I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Hillary.
And we're the Feral Housewives. So we'd just like to welcome you back. Thank you for coming back after listening to all of our ramblings from the last podcast.
I know we go a little off topic sometimes.
But that's what makes us feral.
Yes. So we're going to start off with our feral moments of the week.
Yep. And this one is actually a shared feral moment.
Whoop, whoop. So this last weekend, I ended up at the ER sporadically. I have this like weird thing on my nose that like keeps swelling up.
It doesn't look that weird. It's not like she's a weird like growth thing.
Or is it? No. My nose keeps swelling up.
Her nose is a baseball.
And my nose like makes so it gets like cellulitis in the bottom of my nose, and then it like makes my lips swell up.
I love the honesty here.
Yeah, I have nothing to hide. So the bottom of my lip swells up and it gets this cellulitis like swollenness.
Kind of looks like a duck. Or who.
And Sean is so loving. He called it mallard disease.
That's a good name for it.
He kept calling it mallard disease. He's like, just tell the doctors that's what you have.
A new thing.
So I did tell the nurse that too. He did not think it was funny.
He's like, that's a real thing that's very, very deadly.
And so I went in because the antibiotics I was on for it already were not working. And so I also had this other thing on my head that needed some attention.
She was having issues.
Yes, it was not a good weekend. So I went in and I wanted Sean to go with me, but John was sleeping and I didn't want to wake him up.
That's her brother.
That's my brother who lives with us. And
which, can I just say, you could have called us and
it was like 2 a.m. I didn't want to be like, I don't know. I was going to text you and be like, psst, are you awake?
I mean, no, I was definitely not awake. But you could have called. Like,
okay.
Feel free to call.
So anyway, so then I was like, well, it's fine. I was like, I'll just go. So I went in, which was fine because I ended up staying there I got there like 2:30 a.m., was there until 8 a.m. is when they checked me in. And then I got in there and, there was one crazy guy there. He was feral. He was feral. He was like, he was crazy.
Was he talking to himself?
No, he kept going up to the person holding his finger and he's like, I've got sepsis I've got staph in my finger. And I'm going to get sepsis. If I don't get in right now, I'm going to go in the parking lot, chop my finger off.
You're like, well,
then you're going to get me in?
You're like, well, I have mallard disease.
I've got mallard disease.
Which might be staph.
I can quack.
If it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
So they finally get me in when the morning shift shows up at 7 a.m. an hour later at 8. We get in, I get in, and then they're like, oh yeah, you need liquid antibiotics. So they give me an IV, they put all that in, and I was in a ton of pain. And so they give me some pain meds. And it was like 9 a.m.
Some pain meds?
It was, I don't know how much it was, but, so they gave me a little bit of pain meds, and it was 9 a.m., and anybody that knows me knows that I do not usually get up before 10 a.m. if I don't have to absolutely necessarily be
even
up
at 10,
10.
I'm like, oh.
So I Marco Polo'd Kim.
9 a.m. on a Saturday.
On a Saturday morning, because they gave me fentanyl for my pain, which I've never, ever, 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 ever had fentanyl.
And I'm just waiting to chime in on my part of the story.
So I Marco her, and I'm like, and the reason I Marco her is because her mom recently had surgery, and she was telling me about her mom and how she had been on fentanyl for her pain medicine for her surgery.
My mom was like, I love fentanyl.
So I was like thinking about that when I was Marcoing her this, and so then I was like, they were putting the IV in, and I was like, did you just give me pain meds? Because
this is where my part of the story comes in. So my phone goes off. We're in bed, trying to ignore our children, trying to still sleep. Actually, our children amazingly were asleep.
Oh, wow.
So my phone goes off, and I look at it. One of them had come in our room, so it's kind of awake. And I look, and I'm like, Hillary Margoed me at 9 a.m. on a Saturday? She must be dying. And so I look at it, and I open it, and it's like, hello! I'm in the ER. And I'm like, clearly, I can see all of the everything. And she's like, I had fentanyl And I can really feel it. She's like looking at, I don't know, the nurse. And she's like, how much did you give me? Man, this stuff is fast. And then she's just like going on and on. She's like, I came in at 2 a.m. and my head really hurt. And then I sat there till 8. And my husband's like, she's really, really high. And I'm like, she is. And then she's like, by the way, when you guys come for dinner tonight. And we're like, there's no way we're going over. Like, this is just not going to happen. Oh, man. And, so she's just, like, going on finally. She's like, well, and she's, like, starting to fall asleep in the, like, Marco. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna go. And she's like, I'll tell Sean to get the stuff at the store. And I'm like, what the? So then, like, 2 hours later, and I had to take my daughter to the urgent care because she had a double ear infection. So 2 hours later, Sean calls me to update me on Hillary because he was asking if I could go with him to get Hillary from the hospital because she had the car so he could drive her back. Yeah, and he's obviously I could not drive home at that point when they released me. He's like, oh yeah, newsflash, Hillary's in the ER. I'm like, oh yeah, I know. He's like, how do you know? And I was like, she sent me a Marco. And he's like, really? She's been sleeping. And I was like, this was before the fentanyl kicked in, but was kicked in enough that she's like really high. And so he was just like, really? And I'm like, she's totally high. So then we had to go to Costco afterwards. So then we took all of our kids and Hillary's kids and her husband in our van down to the ER. And we get there and it's like not very crowded. And like all of our kids go run, all of our children are all out there. They're like, Hillary! And they're running around like a bunch of little feral minions. Well, it's funny, too, because I asked Sean, I was like, so then my kids ended up going to Costco with you. Yes, we took all 6 kids to Costco. Like, that's brave. I was like, dang. I was like, are you sure you're going to let them go with them? Are you sure you want them to go with you? It was actually kind of fun, but I'll get into that more with the mom kills. Okay, so then Sean and I leave, and I'm like, it's so quiet in the car. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, why was Adam with them? Why did they have all of the kids in the car? And Sean's like, I don't know. They just showed up that way. It's like, okay. Ryan went pulled up to the house like that. I told Sean that we could give you a ride, but we had to go to Costco, and I realized that we're running out of time. And Ryan was at a lake party. A party at the lake. Yeah. I mean, obviously, a lake party, but for people who were like, what's a lake party? It's a party at the lake. And so we didn't have anyone to watch the kids. So we just took all of them. And then, so yeah, but that's why. It was just funny. It was kind of a fun drive down. We showed Sean the Marco of her, and we're like, she's high. And he's like, really? And we hand it to him, and he turns on, hello! And he's like, yep, she's high. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, well, the first thing Kim says to me is like, do you remember that Marco you sent me? I was not sure. I was not sure you were going to remember. I did remember. I wasn't that high. Adam's like, is she talking to herself? Or is there someone in the room with her? I was like, I don't know. It was Soul, my nurse. No joke. He was pretty chill. As far as she remembers. I'm pretty sure he gave me that, so I'd stop talking to him. He didn't like it, though, when Sean said you had Mallard disease. He did not. He did not think that was funny. I think it's funny. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was funny after my Mallard disease went away. At least you didn't look like Two-Face. That's true. Or last time, this is the second time this has happened. Last time it happened a year ago, and Sean said my face looked like a melted Batman villain. One side of it, like a Two-Face. Well, almost. And then she told me, it was way worse last time. But then she told me, like, she dropped her kids off at my house to go to the urgent care last time. And then I went to bring them home, and she's like, I'll come out, but my face looks really weird. I'm like, it can't look that bad. And, like, my kids are sitting there, and she, like, walks out with this, like, blanket hot pad over her face. Yeah. And she's, like, hiding. I'm like, come on, it can't be that bad, Hillary. And she, like, takes it down, and I was like, I mean, she couldn't stop laughing at me. Like, you kind of look like a who. But my kids, I will never forget Hank. He was 3 years old at the time, and he just looked at her like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with And then Mercedes like, can kids spend the night tonight? And also Hillary kept saying to her kids, every time they asked her for something, look at my face. Does my face seem okay? And Mercedes like, we won't bother you. Oh
Oh my goodness. They're so ridiculous. Anyways, so that was my crazy feral moment of this past weekend that we got to share.
Yeah.
So
it was fun.
Yeah.
Good times.
Exciting. And we're going to start into our next topic. Well, not new topic.
Kind of a continuation of our last topic.
Correct. Yes.
But moving on to like more, not deeper, but like.
Once you're married.
Yeah.
And committed.
And like issues and things that change and like kind of how to deal with them.
Yes, correct.
Or even if you're, not even if you're married, but in a long-term committed relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we had talked last time about things you should talk about before you get married. And now we're going to, like she said, say things that can change or things you should talk about or things that go on as you are married and committed throughout your relationship. Things that change for sure is sex.
Yes.
Hardcore. Usually there's a lot in the beginning and it slowly goes downhill the more children you have. At least for us. I don't know about you, but I mean, it still happens, but
honestly, like, and I'm going to be really honest here. I think our sex life is better now.
Really?
Than it was 10 years ago. Yeah. Not that it was bad in the beginning.
That's fortunate.
But we both...
No offense, Sean.
We both... We both... So when we first got... Oh, Sean!
I love you too!
So when Adam and I first got married, we both worked full-time. I was a pharmacy technician. It was a really hard job. He worked nights, and I worked days.
Oh, that's hard.
So it was really, really hard. So it was very like, we have to have sex on this day or we're not gonna like have sex again for another 7 days. I mean, not really, but like, yeah. And, I don't know. It was just like, for us, the more we got to know each other, the easier it became.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if that's just if that's just an us thing, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, in the beginning it's so like mysterious and everything is new, and I feel like for us it was kind of the opposite. But we had Ryan already, like ours was you already different. Had a kid. But I think I finally told Adam, I was like, you need to find a new job because I feel like your roommate, because he would like, I would get up in the morning. I'd go to work, especially after I had kids. Like, before I had kid, it wasn't as bad. But it would be like, I'd get up in the morning, I'd get dressed. He would come home during that time. We'd be like, I love you. I would go to work, or after we had Kit, I'd take Kit, drop her off at my mom's house. He would go to sleep, wake up at 2, come get the car, because we had one car, go get Kit from my mom, go back home, watch her for a couple hours. I'd come home from work. He would try and take a nap. And then he'd go to work for the night. And so it was really, really hard. Yeah. And there was just not a lot of intimacy. So yeah. So even though now we have 3 kids, like it's different. But every time we have a kid, it suffers. Yeah. Like for the first 12 months. Oh yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think, I don't know. And it's hard to, like, there's a difference too. I feel like when I was younger, when I was a kid, because I was not a virgin when I got married. Mm-hmm. And there's just a difference between, I feel like, sex when you're a teenager / young adult. And I don't know if you know any about this, but for me anyways, like...
I was a nun. I'm just joking.
Like, there's the passion there when you're a kid because you're young and stupid. You don't really care and you, like, do reckless, dumb things. And then when you're an adult and you are married, like, it's more intimate and it's more compassion. And, like, there's just a different aspect to the sexual type of thing when you're married instead of a teenager's type. I don't know. I've tried to explain this to Sean, too. He doesn't really understand it because he was also a nun.
I mean, it wasn't a nun, but, I don't know. I don't want to be like, I'm a very passionate person. But I am like I'm a very romantic. Yeah. I always used to pretend I was a cynic. And my friend Candace would always be like, you're not a cynic. You're actually very romantic. You just don't want to admit that you're romantic. So I'm like a very romantic person. I like romantic stories. And so, yeah. So
Sean's not romantic. He's a goober.
Adam is actually really romantic.
He tries to be romantic, and it's super, super cute.
So yeah, so we try to keep the like passion alive.
Yeah.
You know, we're coming out of like the post baby phase.
But I think it's good to try to like keep the passion alive. Like I think that's a huge thing in marriage, is to try to keep it alive.
Well, how do you do that?
I think it's different for everybody.
I mean, Hillary doesn't know. She apparently has no passion.
No, I'm not saying that.
She's like a nun now.
No. Oh my gosh. Joe's gonna kill me.
I mean, I just told everyone in the world that Adam, our sex life sucked when we got married.
Oh gosh, no. I don't know. Like, I don't know. So Sean and I were Googling, like, okay, let me finish the sentence for you. We were Googling ways to flirt with your spouse. Because Sean could not flirt with anything because he's such a goober. And that's why I love him. And so we were like reading down the list, and he's like, I do this and this and this and this. And they were like normal things, you know, like.
For normal people, but not Sean.
Well, they were like, you know, like compliment them, or like hold their hand when you're walking, or, you know, like normal like flirty deals. Or like give them cute pet names. And Sean calls me Mallard. So like,
would you guys not do pet names?
Well, we just call each other babe. Like that's normal.
Okay.
But then he'll try to be romantic, and nobody can see my face, but like the kids will be out back playing on the trampoline or something, and then I'll like come out of the room, and he'll be in the kitchen, and he'll look at me and be like,
he's
like,
let me explain Hillary's face right now.
So goober.
She's giving what face. Sean would assume is come hither eyes.
Yeah, they're not. They're like,
but they're like crazy eyes. Let me give you an example of Sean's like sense of humor. So Sean has no toenails. And so one time Hank is 4, who's 4, he looks at Sean and he's like, where are your toenails? Like, my son is very concerned. And Sean looks at him and says, oh my gosh, I lost him. Do you see him anywhere, Hank? So, like, that's Sean's sense of humor. Or Kit comes home and she's like, Mom, did you know that there was a queen in the 1500s who had to wear makeup because apparently she was really ugly, but the makeup she had lead in it, so she kept putting it on her face till it was white, but then she died from lead poisoning? Do you think there's lead in our walls? And I'm like, where did you hear this from? And I know who she's talking about because I'm a history person. And then she's like, from Sean. And I'm like, he's talking about Queen Elizabeth. And then one time she comes home, she's like, Mom, did you know that the French made up a thing called the guillotine? That's not his sense of
humor, though. That's just who he is.
No, but that's just who he is. But it's funny. Like, it is funny. Did you know the French made up a thing called the guillotine so that they could kill all people equally? Mom, did you know that in the 14th century there was a plague that came and killed everyone on Earth? Sean told me that. So that's Sean in a nutshell. He
also likes to put cheese on his head.
He does.
Oh,
and he has holes in his sandals.
He does.
So think of like, what kind of, was he the crazy guy in the ER who had sepsis in his finger?
No, he's
sepsis. I call him sepsis.
No.
Poor Sean.
Man. But he tries so hard to be flirty and sexy, and it just does not work out. But that's why I love him. Because he's so cute and goobery.
He is, but that's like his charm.
Yeah,
that's like his flirting style.
That is his flirting style. So it works out for him.
Adam and I are very flirtatious. You know, we've never had an issue flirting with each other. Adam's very good at that. Our thing is that I'm not a super touchy-feely person all the time. And Adam is. So, like, the other day I went to hold his hand, he's like, oh, you're holding my hand. And I was like, why would I not hold your hand? He's like, it's not something you do very often.
No.
And then I thought about it, I was like, it's not, is it? Which I think goes into love languages.
Yes, that is another one. That's a good one. Yes. Learning their love language as you are married, or you could potentially know it beforehand too. There are 4 love languages: gifting, touch, actions, and words. Do you know your love language?
Oh, heck yes. Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
And
What's Adam's?
physical touch.
Adam's you made me like, snort.
Adam's is like, and I feel like a lot of men are this way.
Yeah.
And even women. There's some women who are this way. But it's like physical touch, 80%. And then I don't even know what his next one is. It's not words of affirmation. Was acts of mine are words of affirmation and acts of kindness. Like those are my things. And that's how I show love too. Actions.
So
yeah.
Mine is, so I guess it's worded quality time. Would that be actions?
I think there's 5.
Because quality time is mine. Is spending quality time with me is the
I think
biggest
quality
one
time
for me.
and kind. I'm gonna look it up, but I'm pretty sure there's 5.
Because that I know quality time is the biggest one for me. Spending time with the people that I love and care about, and showing that you care about me and taking the time to spend time with me is the biggest love language for me. My second one is probably touch. I'm a huggy person. I like to give hugs.
I don't hug people.
I like to snuggle. Sean always tickles my arms at night before we go to bed. Like the nice tickle. The soft tickle.
It makes sense only to a Hillary or a Mercedes.
And my mom. And my grandma. It's a generation thing.
It's generational.
So I'd probably say that. But Sean said his is words of affirmation.
Okay, so here they are. Words of affirmation. Quality time.
Okay.
Acts of service. Gifts. Physical touch.
Okay, so there are 5.
I actually think Adam is physical touch and quality time. You can give him anything. He doesn't care. He could be like, don't give me anything for Christmas. I literally don't care. Why would you give me something for my birthday? And literally don't care.
Yeah, Sean's like that too.
So I, like, when I am feeling like lovey-dovey, I'm like, I'm gonna do something cute for you. You know? And he's like, oh, thanks, that's nice. So yeah, but I'm definitely words of affirmation.
Yeah.
And quality time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Those are good. Maybe his was acts of service.
Mm-hmm. Sean and I are very similar, so.
His was acts of service, I think. I don't know.
That's one of mine.
He likes to do that for people.
What were yours? Physical touch?
Quality time's my first one, and foremost. And then I would say physical touch, probably.
Yeah, see, Adam's physical touch and then quality time.
Yeah.
Because, like, sometimes I can be like, oh, hey, we can go to bed and you can play your game and I can watch something on my phone. And I'm good. We're, like, next to each other and I think it's sweet. But Adam's like, we're not doing something together.
Yeah.
You're not. I'm like, but we're sitting next to each other.
See, Sean would think the same. And I'm like, no, we're not watching it together. We got to watch it together.
I'm like, well, Adam, do you want to watch... You know, I don't want to...
Do you want to watch Dance Moms? I'll watch Dance Moms with you.
Adam hates Dance Moms.
No.
I have watched Dance Moms. Sister Wives is another one that I like. They're my... I don't want to think. I just want to watch people do stupid things. And then I become, like, attached to the people in these stupid shows. But true crime is my thing, which Adam will watch true crime shows with me. And then when I get freaked out, he lovingly will go up and close the window, like, make sure everything in the house is locked. Most of the time. So, yeah. That's a big deal. I think it's really, really hard to learn how your significant other, like, it can be a really hard thing to, like, learn and figure out.
It can be.
It can be really difficult. But, like, I am a big words of affirmation person. Okay, here's one thing, though. I'm a big words of affirmation, but I have a hard time showing love through words of affirmation. Is that weird? I feel like that's kind of weird. Because I'm a word person.
Yeah, because you're a word person.
But, like, I don't know. But it's really just with Adam. Because it makes me feel awkward. One time I tried to write him Adam writes me love letters. One time I tried to write him a love letter, and he was like, this is the most... And I have a master's degree in writing. And Adam's like, read it, and he's like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed. And I was like, why? And he's like, I have seen you write some amazing things. And he's like, this is very emotionless. I'm like, it is not. He's like, it's like a love-like note. Aww. He's like, you might as well put check yes or no.
Oh man.
So I haven't written him a love letter since then.
Aww. See, I like to I'm pretty good at writing letters. I'm not as good at speaking it out in words.
That's Adam. Adam's better at writing it.
Yeah. Other things. You learn about holidays, on where you're gonna go, whose houses.
What holidays are important to you.
What you're gonna celebrate.
Everyone is different, right? Mm-hmm. And some things are like, especially I feel like Christmas, Thanksgiving, everyone has like different expectations. Yeah. Halloween too, I could put that in there. Because there are some people who are super into Halloween, and there are some people who are not. Yeah. Adam and I, we're just kind of into all holidays. And honestly, that kind of started during COVID. Really? I really wanted to be like this, embrace every season for what it's worth, because I was trapped in my house for a month, and I did lots of contemplation, apparently. And ever since then, like, we've gotten really into holidays. But like 4th of July is a big one for me. Mm-hmm. My dad was born July 2nd. So as a kid, I thought the 4th of July was, we would go to my grandparents' house, we'd have dinner, and then we would do fireworks. Mm-hmm. And I thought we did them for my dad's birthday. Mm-hmm. So I thought the 4th of July was my dad's birthday. I don't think that now. Anyway, when I was like 4, I told my dad that. And he's like, no, it's just, my birthday is like 2 days before, so we just celebrate anyway. So it's always been a big deal to me, because my family made a big deal out of it. My birthday's on Valentine's Day.
For realsies.
For realsies, yeah. And Adam is kind of like, cool, I don't have to get you a Valentine's Day present because it's a made-up holiday. And it's your birthday, isn't that more important? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it is.
Yeah, well, my birthday lands on Mother's Day half the time, and I make it very clear they are 2 different days.
Yeah, so Mother's Day and Father's Day was a hard one for us. Because Ryan has a mom, and then he has me, his bonus mom. Mm-hmm. And so that one was always really hard, especially before I had other kids. So we don't really celebrate Mother's Day or Father's Day. But that was hard for me, because in our house, my dad made a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Growing up in our house. But when we got married, Adam is kind of like,
That's how Sean is, too. He's kind of like, I mean, I guess, I don't know, growing up, we kind of did stuff. I honestly don't really remember. I know I always did something for Mother's Day. And I think we always did something for Father's Day.
Yeah, so we just don't do it. So some people are like, oh, it's a huge day, I do all this stuff. And in our house, it's just kind of like, Adam I usually take a long nap and kind of keeps the kids away so I can do whatever. But honestly, and Adam finally told me this, he's like, I feel like I show my love and appreciation for you every day. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't need a holiday. And when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? That is true. Like, he really, he's an amazing husband, and he does a lot. And, And so, yeah.
Yep.
And he's like, and you're not my mom.
Well, yeah, but the kids need help to do it, though.
It's true.
So.
But he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Now they're getting older, and now it's kind of becoming more of a thing.
Sean's been really good. Like, he had the kids do, like, mommy and painting things and stuff when they were little and whatnot. And I've done the kids with painting stuff, too, but...
yeah. Not that he ignores me. I don't want people to think that. It's just that it's just not our thing.
That's okay. You know? It doesn't have to be. As you're married, too, and the longer you're married, I think, I don't know, I've always heard, like, the first year's the hardest. Mm-hmm. And then if you make it through the 5th year, then that's the next hump. And then 10. And then I don't know what's after that. Then I think you're pretty... Then
you're good. You're going to be married forever.
Usually,
all of your problems are
20,
over. Actually, I think when your kids leave, that's a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of friends who were like, now our kids are gone and we have, like, no relationship. And so I think that... going out and having a relationship with your partner is very important.
Yeah, date nights. Keep up on date nights.
Yeah.
That's super
all
important.
through. Even there are times where Adam and I, our date night is we get Taco Bell and we watch a show, like that quality time.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a big thing. My parents always dated when I was a kid.
Yeah.
They went out the, like, first and third Friday type thing.
We're not that regular on dates.
We aren't either. We used to be.
We try to go on at least once a month.
Yeah. And we used to be that regular.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're not. But now, because we have Ryan, and he's at home with the kids sometimes, we'll, like, have mini dates. We'll, like, go to the store. But then we have, like, special dates where we don't do any errands.
Those are the special dates.
No, but we're going to dinner.
You know you've been married a long time when your dates end at the grocery store.
And sometimes we're like...
I've been there many times.
Adam and I went out a while ago. We went and we got dinner at Olive Garden. And then we went and we saw a movie. And on the way home, I was like, oh, we need milk. I'm like, no, we can't stop at the store or that ruins our date night. And he's like, it does not. I'm like, it does, because we've become lax. And every time we run to the store, and he's like, so what do you want me to do? I was like, I want you to drop me off at home and then go get milk. And so that's what we did.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
And then the next time I was like, that's kind of stupid, but
yeah. But it is what it is, man. That's what happens.
It is.
Your dates end up at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Because you don't have kids. You don't have to drag them all in.
I know. See, and now we have Ryan, so we go on mini dates to the grocery store all the time. And it almost got to the point that, oh no, we went to the grocery store together. We looked at the tools and thought about what we wanted to do to our house. And then we left. We kissed afterwards.
We held hands.
But we're passionate people.
Oh, man. Yeah, and then your values change throughout. Your your priorities change. I know, like, I used to value, I don't know, sleep. I still sleep now.
I value sleep more now than I did before.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, I still stay up late and I sleep now, but, like, when the kids were little, I didn't get sleep.
Yeah,
because they were little. Older. So,
like,
my kids are older now, so I can sleep again. But
I always used to be, I'm going to stay up till, like, 1 or 2 and get up. I mean, I used to be able to get up at, like, 8, Yeah. And then I had kids and, like, I don't know, I feel like I had Kit but actually, Kit was a good sleeper the first year of her life. But, like, I just feel like I've been sleep deprived ever since then.
Yeah. Like,
the other night I woke up, I was like, none of my children came into my room last night. Mm-hmm. They might be dead.
Right? Like, I have to go see if they're breathing.
What happened? So I value, like, sleep way more. Because there was a time where, like, on a Saturday, it would be like, we just spend the whole day together. And now I'm like, I'm sorry. I need to sleep. I need a nap. Like, that's what I need, So
I know I value my parents more now. Like, looking back, I'm like, dang, I was a little crap as a kid, man. And I'm reaping the rewards now with my own children. Because they're total, not that my kids are, little turds, but they are. They're little kids. But they're just little mini-me's. So
when Adam and I first got married, we lived next to my parents, and it was very, very important to us. Like, we did everything, all the holidays with them, because his parents lived across the country. And then we moved out here, and, like, now Adam and I are very, very independent. And that's, like, something that, like, not that we didn't want to be independent. We weren't, like, dependent upon my parents. But, like, now we're, like, very independent as a family. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's something that, like, I really, really, really value, And, so, yeah, like, we're very strong as a unit. Not that my parents would interfere with that, because they didn't. But, like,
yeah,
it was just not something I thought would.
Well, and you have to, I think, too, as you, not just with kids, too, in general, but as you're married and the longer you're married, like, your life changes and, like, jobs change and, like, people change and your friends change over time and, like cars change, like, and then your kids will change if you have children or pets, you know, like death of pets or having pets or not, you know, those can be hard to go through. And just the priorities that you have and making what's important, like obviously the top priority, but like, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I'm just like, I look at my kids now and I'm like, they're the most important thing to me. And if you took away all of like the house and anything, like that's what's important. I don't care. Like you could take, I always tell my kids, I'd rather live in a box and be happy than live in a huge giant mansion and be miserable.
Yeah.
Like I always tell my kids that. Because
I wouldn't want to live in a box though.
Well, I wouldn't want to live in a box either, but it's a metaphor.
Small, let's say small house. I'd rather live in an apartment.
There you go.
Than not have you. Can you imagine living in an apartment with your kids or with my kids?
Oh man.
Or with our kids together?
Oh my gosh, we'd get so many complaints.
We would. We'd have to go live in a box.
Or we'd have to at least live on the bottom floor.
Yes.
So we wouldn't get as many complaints. But I don't know. I forgot. I don't know where I was going with that.
How important your kids were. Like, it's true. I feel like before you have
changed.
kids, it's really hard to, like, understand how important your kids are.
Yeah.
You know, or just, like, and everyone else, like, I have a sister, and her and her husband don't have kids, and, like, they value things together differently than I do. Like, they really value their pets. They value these things that they've made together because they don't have kids, you know? And that's, like, a very big, valuable thing in their marriage. Because to them, together, it's very important. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel like as a married couple, or committed couple, whatever you are, together, your values change. Yeah. And you come to value certain aspects more together than what you did alone. Does that make sense? Like, there are things that I never thought were important, but they're important to Adam. So now, like, my priorities have changed.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, like, you pick and choose your battles. Yeah. You learn that real easy with kids. Yeah. Like, half the time, I feel like Sean needs to learn that more because with the kids, because he's not with them all the time like I am. So, like, he'll be like, no, you can't do that. And I'll be like, really? Do you really want to battle that? Like, just let him wear the dumb shoes. Well, it's I don't care.
It's like tonight, Hank is my picky eater. He's my, I don't like the bumpy chicken nugget kid. And I made a pasta bake that had both spaghetti and Alfredo sauce.
Oh, you made the yummy one.
Yes. With special curly noodles.
Stayed at your house long.
The Kappa something. So, I made that for dinner. Okay, so Hank likes Alfredo. And he likes spaghetti. But he likes them with Alfredo noodles. And spaghetti noodles. What's the difference? There's really no difference. Does he like them mixed together? Sure, he does. However, he's 4 and he's stubborn and he did not want to eat it. So he ate bread. And then my husband was like, no, you need to eat your food. Which, I'm not going to make him another meal, but I would give him a fruit cup and he can eat bread. I literally don't care. I'm tired. I just want him to eat and shower and go to bed. So my husband is like, it's a power struggle. I'm going to win. And he's like, Hank, I'll give you spaghetti, or I'll give you ice cream if you eat your food. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a disaster. So then, like, guess what? He doesn't eat his food, even though he wants ice cream. So then he's crying and screaming. And my husband's like, I know that you hate things like this. I'm like, I get what you're trying to teach. I really, really do. But did you have to use ice cream and then give everyone else in the house ice cream except the 4-year-old? Or could we have chosen a different day when Kit didn't have a double ear infection and she hadn't been whining at me afternoon? Or, like, all these different things. Like, did it have to be today that we stood up and said, that's it, kid. If you don't eat those noodles, you're not going to get your ice cream. We've never done that. We don't normally have desserts. You know, I don't make 2 meals for my kids. Yeah. But if they don't like what I eat, they can have a freaking fruit cup. And bread.
They can be a mallard.
They can be a duck. Is that why you have duck lips? Because you eat duck food? You do have sensory issues.
I think I may have quacked at the nurse. I think I may have.
Maybe that's why he wasn't smiling.
Maybe.
Hillary's always joking that her and Hank have the same sensory issues with food. Because they have issues with the same types of food.
Dude, we're buddies.
They are. So no one understands Hillary no one understands Hank like Hillary.
It's true. I understood his taco dilemma last night.
Yeah, that's true. So, anyway, and I'm not opposed to teaching him a lesson at all. I'm just like, a time and a place.
Exactly.
I actually had dinner ready.
Read the room.
I had dinner ready by 6 o'clock.
That's amazing.
We sat down to eat at 6:15. We were done with dinner at 6:30.
Wow.
We did dinner dishes. My house was clean when I left to come here. But Hank was crying.
Yeah. Didn't talk about the bread. That was my favorite part of the story.
Oh, yeah. He threw bread at my husband. Like a piece of French bread. Which was not funny. I was like sitting there like, oh my gosh, really? Wondering what my husband was going to do. So my husband picked up the bread and threw it back at him and hit him in the head. And Hank was very upset. And Adam was like, well, how does it feel to have someone throw bread at you? And Hank's not very good. He's like, well, that's how I felt when you threw bread at me.
That was my favorite part of the story.
So, yeah.
Yep. So...
But we didn't give in with the ice cream. I just want to point that out. He did not get ice cream.
No.
We all survived.
Awesome. You stood your ground, even though Adam chose to choose a really bad night to do this.
Time and a place.
Time and a place, Adam. Time and a place.
We went feral. Sorry, we're totally off topic.
Okay. So, wrapping that up, those are some things that we randomly think you should discuss or... Not discuss. Well, yeah, discuss.
Talk about, deal with in a marriage.
The things you deal with.
And if you're having a hard time with them, know you're not alone.
Yeah.
I think it always helps when you're having issues. Mm-hmm. If you're like, you know what, someone else has issues with that too.
Yep. Issues arise all throughout.
Yeah. If you're in a slump with your partner, it's normal. Mm-hmm. It happens.
Yep. Especially after children or after any kind of trauma stuff.
Big events.
Yeah. Moves.
A death in the family.
Yeah, I was just saying that. Even a death of an animal.
Yeah, and
job changes.
Sometimes it's even like littler stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, if someone gets sick in a way.
Yeah, anything can trigger anything. So just be there for each other and communicate. Mm-hmm. And talk your way through it. Work with each other.
So we wanted to wrap up with some mom guilt moments.
Whoop, whoop. Mwah, mwah. And I don't know what that was.
Mom judgment time.
Mom judgment.
So this one had to do with kind of the decision to have kids. And I feel like as a woman, there's lots of judgment with kids.
Yeah.
How many kids are you going to have? When are you going to have kids? Are you going to have kids? Are you going to have too many kids? Are you not going to have enough kids? Are you going to have kids when you're too old? Mm-hmm. Or you too young? Like, I mean, there's all these things. Really, it's no one's freaking business.
Stay home with your kids,
right? Are you gonna work?
Yeah.
Are you gonna work full time or part time? Do you put your kids in daycare? Mm-hmm. Do you homeschool your kids?
Yeah.
Do you send them to public school? I mean, all these crazy things. Really, it's no one's freaking business what you do with your kids, unless you're abusing them.
Then you report that.
But if your kids are happy and healthy, or if you don't have kids and you're happy and healthy.
I think we're going to stick with the whole mom guilt on amount.
So I have 4 kids.
I have 2.
I get judged a lot, I feel like, because I have 4.
I don't feel like I get judged a lot on the amount, but what I always hear a lot of, a ton, it's, oh, you have 1 of each. I hear that all the time. Do you ever hear, I mean, you have multiple of both. Or, well, you don't have 2 girls, but you have 3 boys and a girl.
We always get like, oh, you only have 1 girl?
Yeah.
Poor
because
girl.
I only have 2, they're like, oh, you only have 2? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, that's cool. You got 1 of each. And I'm like, uh-huh. And I would have liked them if they were both boys or both girls.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah, I would have liked them either way. But I get that a lot.
Some of the things that people comment on.
Right, yeah. Like, so that kind of annoys me sometimes. Because I'm like, yeah, I would have loved them either way. But
yeah. I
get
heard
that
someone
ton.
recently, they have 2 girls, and she was saying that someone's like, oh, it would have been nice if you had a boy. Are you going to try for a boy? And she's like, no. Oh, are you sad you don't have a boy? No, I'm literally not sad.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I love my children. They're
Yeah.
my children.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really hard. I know my cousin, she had twins. One of my cousins, because 2 of my cousins had twins. My one cousin, she had twins, and she had a boy and a girl. And I know that she got a lot of questions. And I know she was, I don't know if she was mom guilt, but I know that she felt judged all the time.
For what? For having twins?
Well, because they were like, oh, are you going to have more kids? Or because you already have one of each. You're already done.
Someone actually said that to me when we had Kit, because we had Ryan. Someone's like, oh, lucky you. Now you have one of each. So you should be done. Yeah. That was in Massachusetts, where people are nosy. And I was
she's in
like...
Utah, so they're all nosy there, too.
Oh, that's true. I was like, that ain't none of your concern.
Yeah, exactly. And I know she felt really judged. At least I believe that's what she had told
I would never say that to anyone.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I'm like, what the crap?
See, we get the looks in the grocery store. All the looks.
Yeah.
And we get the oh wow, 4 kids? You must be super busy. Even when I just take my 3 little kids out. Mm-hmm. Or like, people are always like, oh, wow, you must be tired. No crap, I'm tired. Yeah. I have an 18-month-old. You think? And I always, like, people are like, oh, you have 4 kids? Oh, it must be really hard. But one day I was in the store, and some lady turned around. She was, like, older, and she looked at me. She looked at my kids, and she's like, do you have 3 boys and a girl? And I was like, yeah. And when people normally say that, they normally say, oh, you must be so busy with all those boys. And she was like, I had 3 boys and a girl. And then I expect her to say, you must be a busy mom. And she's like, I was a busy mom, but I loved every minute of it. Aww. She's like, 30 years later. She's like, it was very hard at the time. And I was like, thank you. Do you understand me? Aww. But like, when we took Hillary's kids to Costco, we were getting dirty looks all over the place.
I believe it, man.
And the cashier was like, you have 5. We had 5 because we didn't have Ryan with us. You have 5 kids? They're all so close in age. And I'm like, they're not all mine. And he's like, man, I can't believe you have 5 kids. I had 2 and I was done. I was like, I cannot do any more. Yeah. And he was like, they're all so close in age. How do you handle it? And I was like, they're not my kids. And then finally I was like, why am I telling this guy that they're not my kids? What business of it is his? Who comments on the amount of kids? But we always... When we went to have Tommy, so many people were like, you're having another one? I'm like, yeah, and I might have another one after that.
What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think the main thing is, you should have as many kids as you want.
Or whether not.
That be 0.
Yeah.
Or 10. As long as you can provide for them. Yeah. And, like, there are a lot of reasons to not have kids. Mental health is a big one.
That was actually a huge, huge, huge factor for us. Yeah. Because... I mean, I love kids. I really do. And like I said, I only wanted 1 or 2. Sean wanted 4. He was fine stopping with 2 because 1, he realized how expensive they were. And 2, I told him, I was like, for my sanity, well, besides the whole thing of Edwin being a middle child thing, and what was the other thing I said before? Middle child and... I don't know. There was something else I said about it. Him being the end. Diapers. But, but that I knew my mental health could not handle it.
Yeah.
And I was glad that I was mentally aware enough of it that I could be aware of that in myself, that I knew mentally I could not handle another child. Mm-hmm. Because I had postpartum depression with Mercedes, like 8 months into it. And then with Edwin, I got postpartum like instantly after I had him. And that was really, really hard. I had a very hard time bonding with him up till about 6 months. And so that was really hard. And so...
Which is a normal thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like a lot of people are like, you didn't bond with your kid. No, that's very normal. Yeah. Like, it's a thing.
It is, yeah. And I felt so ashamed of it.
It's not a bad thing. It's nothing you should be ashamed of. Like, it's
But
hard.
I was, yeah. And you don't know these things. But yeah, so for my sanity, I knew I should not have any more children. And for the sanity of the children that I did have. Yeah. And I had to take my medication while I was pregnant because I was like, honestly, if I'm not on it... I don't know if these babies are going to come out normal because I'm going to be crazy.
Well, and that was when I went to have Tommy, I was on medication. And I started one when I was pregnant with Hank, because I had postpartum with Kit. I started one when I was pregnant with Hank. But then after I had him, I went on a second one because I have a panic disorder. So it helps with the panic disorder. When I went to have Tommy, Adam and I agreed that, like, when I talked to the doctor, if the doctor said that I couldn't be on that prescription when I was pregnant, that we were done. And they're like, no, that's totally fine. And we're like, okay. Like, because that was a big deal.
Yeah.
To us. I mean, not so much Adam. I mean, it was a big deal to Adam, but it's not like he was like, if you're not on these meds, you're crazy. But he was like, no, yeah, I understand. Yeah. This is what you need. And, so yeah, and I didn't have postpartum with him, actually. I think because I was on the med. I was just a mess after him. But, so yeah, but like for health reasons, like I'm a type 1 diabetic. And it's really hard, you know? So if there is someone who's like, I'm a type 1 diabetic and I'm not sure I want to have kids, like, I understand that. Plus, it's not my business to understand that. That's someone else's life.
Or what if you have, like, what if you had the one kid and then you're, like, are struggling in your marriage later and you don't know? Like, who gives a crap? Who knows, like, not that you're struggling, but, like, who cares how many kids you have if you only have one? Like, you don't know what's going on in their marriage. You don't know what's going on in their life, you know? Leave them alone. Yeah. If they only have one kid, who cares?
And, like, I feel like I'm in a religion where a lot of people are like, oh, you have to have kids. And it's almost like some people think the more kids you have, the more righteous you are. And that's just not true.
No.
Like, you should have the amount of kids that you need. You know? That you should have... Well, I mean, that you need. But I mean, seriously. Like, the amount of kids that, like, your needs...
That you want.
Yeah, that you want and that you... I don't want to say need, but that you feel that meets your needs, I guess. Like your financial needs and your mental health needs. And, you know, whether that be 1, 0,
I don't know. I feel like
10.
some people have a lot more kids than their financial needs can meet.
That's true. Sometimes I feel that way because I have 4 kids. I'm just joking. But when I was single, I lived in a basement apartment and the people above us had a lot of kids. And she was obviously really, really struggling. And I was more judgmental of her when I was younger, but even still as a mom, like some of the things she would say to them. And she obviously really was struggling with all her kids. And she constantly told them, I don't know why I had so many kids. And I remember thinking, I never want to be like that. And now that I'm older, I look back on that and I still don't want to be like that, but I feel really bad for her that like that was, and her kids, that was the place where she was at, where she just was like, I have all these kids and I can't handle them and I don't know what to do. And, you know, sometimes I tell my kids, I'm like, I feel like the old woman who lived in a show. I have so many kids, I don't know what to do. And,
oh, man.
But I would never tell them.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have so many kids,
no.
you know, like.
No.
And, so I look back on that. And I just feel really bad. It makes me feel sad. And, like, I've heard other people say, like, I didn't want to have kids, but I felt like I needed to. You know, or I only wanted to have one kid. But I had this many because I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
And that's not...
And I know friends that have, like, where their marriage was struggling and they thought kids would fix it.
Oh, yeah.
And they ended up having, like, 1 or 2 kids and then
kids never fix a marriage.
No. They ended up divorced, like, a year or 2 later, so...
If you think children are going to fix your, like, relationship...
does not happen.
Like, even if you bond for a little bit over it, like, you have to be in a relationship for you, not a child. I'm a big believer in that.
Same.
Like,
one thing that somebody said to me that really, really stuck with me, and it still, like, makes me sad, they told me that they would how did they word it? They had said they would... Oh my gosh, it's going to bug me. So they basically said, like, I feel really bad for the people that have kids nowadays. Like, I would never want to have a child in this day and age.
Really? That's sad.
And it made me really sad because, like, I was newlywed and I wanted to have kids. And now I was like, oh, should I not have kids? Because, like, the world is, like, getting evil and more, like, whatever, you know.
The world is kind of crazy.
The world is crazy, but, like, the world is getting worse and worse, and, like, should I not bring a child into this world? Because the world, like, it just made me feel so bad, and, like, I shouldn't bring a child into this world, and then I was like, no, but I really, really want to have a baby, and it just made me feel horrible, and I was like, I don't know, it just made me so sad, and I don't know, but anyways, obviously I had 2 kids anyways. and she was somebody from church, and she's got grandkids now. And I'm
That's
like,
so funny.
And I'm like, I wonder if she would have said the same thing to her children. Like, I don't think she would have, and she was also like, she was a baby doula person.
Yeah, I've heard people say the same things. If I was young and having kids, I don't think I could have them in this evil world.
Yeah,
but and I'm not saying that if you're struggling with your mental health and I'm not saying you had too many kids if you're struggling in your mental health. I think that's normal to struggle as a parent. Oh yeah,
I still do now.
Yeah, I think it's totally normal. Like it's hard to be a parent
with my Diet Coke.
We have
my fentanyl in my emergency rooms.
Hillary did not just say that she was addicted to fentanyl.
No, I'm not. That was just
only in the emergency room.
Emergency room.
Hopefully,
with my
one
Mallard
time.
disease.
But there are ways to cope. But it's hard, and I feel like no one should feel pressured to have more or less kids than they wanted. And I also feel like that when you struggle with your kids, it's normal. Yeah. It's okay to struggle. There are moments where I'm like, I don't really like being a parent right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's normal. And someone one time said that to me. She was like, you know what? I didn't like being a parent when my kids were young. She's like, I had my moments where I loved it. She's like, but it was not my favorite age. And it was like this huge weight was lifted off my chest because I was like,
yeah,
I'm okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not the only one.
Right.
So yeah.
I always love it when I'm in the store and it's like somebody else's kid's going crazy. And I'm like, oh, it's not just me.
And I always want to look at them and be like, you got this, mama.
Yep, I do too.
I've been there.
I do too.
So yeah, but I would never ask people questions.
No,
that people
I don't
ask
either.
Me. So if you're going to ask someone a question about their children, do yourself a favor and them a favor. Shut your mouth. Remember, if you can't say anything nice,
don't say anything
Don't say anything at all.
Yep.
And do not comment on if a mother is tired or a dad is tired. Of course they're tired. They are raising crazy human people.
Yep.
So, and I know that there are some people out there who are unable to have children. Mm-hmm. Or it's very dangerous for them to have children.
Yeah.
And I think that that is a very, very hard thing to go to. I can't even imagine the pain that that causes. Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes we put too much pressure on people having kids.
Yeah.
Like, that's what makes you
a mom.
A woman. A
mom. Or a woman in general.
Like, it fulfills your goal of being a woman.
Or a wife in general.
Oh, a wife in general, yeah. And I don't think, I mean, that I know that that's definitely not true. Mm-mm. And it's hard.
Yeah. I mean, one of my best friends, she can. She's had one beautiful little boy. And she can't get pregnant. She's having a really hard time getting pregnant for the second time. And it's been years, probably. Like 8 years now, because he's actually 9. 9 years, and she's been trying everything, and she can't. And I know she's having a really hard time, and I feel for her. And I know I have other friends, too, that have struggled with it. I know your sister, too, has had a hard time. And you never know what somebody's going through, either. Like, if you're like, oh... Like, if somebody's been married for a long time, you're like, oh, are you guys going to have kids? Like, you don't know what they're struggling with, and you don't know.
And the things that people say are just really, like, thoughtless, I think, sometimes. You know, or, like, people who comment on, like, IVF or, like, adoption. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like, one time I was at work, and someone was talking about adopting kids, and someone else was like, I would never adopt kids. Like, they're great. Like, la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, dude, you can't say that to someone who's talking about adopting a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I would never adopt a kid. What a horrible decision that would be for you. But, like, people just don't comment on other people's children or lack of children.
Yes.
I feel like that is.
Yeah. No matter how long or how short they've been married, or how many or how less
or how
kids.
Many they have.
Yes.
Don't ever tell a mom that she's tired. Of course they're tired. They're raising tiny humans.
Tired.
So yeah.
Anyways, but I think that wraps it up for the mom guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that if you feel like a mess,
you're not alone.
You're feral. This is Kimberly.
And I'm Hillary.
And we're the Feral Housewives.
Being a housewife is darn hard. I don't even know where to start. But when times are tough and things get rough, it's a good thing we've got our best friends by our side. Laundry couches are a must. Baking cookies is a bust. Unconventional moms are the bomb. Put the kids to bed, listen.